What's good, boys? Brokowski's here with the second YouTube video ranking the rest of season fantasy football wide receivers. We already came out with the running back rankings, and soon we're coming out with quarterback and tight end rankings, so make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss that. We're also setting a like goal of 100 likes. If you guys can hit that 100 likes, the quarterback rankings will come out very soon. So make sure you guys hit that like, it'll be greatly appreciated.
At our number one receiver, no surprise here, Cooper Kupp. He has been absolutely absurd in fantasy, averaging over 26 points a game. He's been on a complete tear. No reason he shouldn't be number one.
Coming in at number 2, we have Davante Adams. This guy last year was the clear wide receiver 1. Cooper Kupp has taken over as the wide receiver 1, but Davante is still a stud in fantasy. This guy is Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. They have such a good connection, and rest of you, Davante is an absolute beast.
At number 3, we got Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs have been struggling a little bit recently, but that does not hurt Tyreek Hill's status as an elite receiver in fantasy. He still does have those absolute boom games where he gets 40 plus points. Yes, he does have those games under 10, but he is still such an elite receiver, and he gets targeted big time, which does help in PPR. So you still want Tyreek on your squad.
At number 4, we got Jamar Chase, the Bengals' breakout rookie receiver. This guy's averaging over 18 points per game. T. Higgins does take a bit of the targets, but Tyler Boyd is basically irrelevant in the offense. Jamar Chase is a clear number 1 in this offense. Joe Burrow and him have such a good connection. He's the number 4 rest of the season fantasy wide receiver.
At number 5, we got A.J Brown. There is a little bit of risk with Derrick Henry going down that the offense will tank, but on Sunday night against the Rams, it did not look that way. They seemed to pick it up right where they left off, so we believe A.J. Brown is going to be just fine. Last year when A.J. Brown was healthy, he was a wide receiver 3 in fantasy, and this year with Derrick Henry down, they should be passing the ball even more, so we think A.J. Brown is going to have a second half breakout.
Coming in at number 6, we have Stefon Diggs. This guy has been a bit of a disappointment based on where he was drafted, but he's still a stud. He's averaging almost 10 targets a game. The Bills' offense has looked bad against the Jaguars on Sunday, but Diggs still leads the wide receivers in targets and yards. Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley have been taking some of the targets since last year, but Diggs is still an elite option, and him and Josh Allen still have a great connection.
At number 7, we got D.K Metcalf. He's been doing just fine with Geno Smith lately, and with Russell Wilson coming back, that only ups his potential. There are rumors going around that the Seahawks might sign Odell Beckham, which would lower DK. But for now, we gotta rank this as if that's not gonna happen, and DK rest of the season with Russell Wilson has super high upside.
At number 8, we have Deebo Samuel. This guy's been an absolute stud, averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. There's a little bit of concern with his injury. He has been questionable the last 2 weeks. That's why he's not top 5 or top 7. And also, Ayuk is on the rise, plus Kittle's coming back, which takes away Deebo's targets. But Deebo is still a stud and is the clear number 1 option on that offense right now.
At number 9, we got Justin Jefferson. Again, you could argue he's been a little disappointing too, but he is still such a good player. The upside is still there every week, so we're not worried about Justin Jefferson the rest of the year. We think he's a top 10 player.
At number 10, we have Ceedee Lamb. Ceedee has been a bit on and off, having some games under 5 points and some games over 30. The Cowboys' offense is a bit more volatile this year. Some games are run heavy, some games are pass heavy. Ceedee is the clear wide receiver 1 on this offense. Amari still is a beast, but Ceedee is taking over that role as the wide receiver 1. Plus, Dak seems to have a good connection with him, so Ceedee is top 10 wide receiver the rest of the way.
At number 11, we got DeAndre Hopkins. Normally based off name value and player alone, he'd be way higher than 11, but this year with all the Cardinals' offensive weapons and the amount of targets and touchdowns he's been getting, we pushed him out just outside the top 10. He has been touchdown dependent and his targets and yards have gone way down from recent years, but we still think DeAndre Hopkins is such a good player that he has to be top 12.
At number 12, we have Diontae Johnson. This guy is the clear number 1 on the Steelers after Juju's going down. There's only one game this year where he has less than 10 targets, and he has multiple games with 13 targets. Najee does get the ball the most in this offense, but Diontae is a target machine and is easily Big Ben's favorite target.
At 13, we got Keenan Allen, one of the best receivers in the NFL. He plays on one of the best offenses, which helps him big time, and he gets a lot of targets, which is great for PPR. He is one of Justin Herbert's favorite targets. He is a little worse than where he was drafted at. He was drafted as probably a top 10 wide receiver in most leagues, but his upside is still there. He is super safe most weeks with the amount of targets he gets, and he's still a great option in fantasy football.
At number 14, we got Marquise Brown. This guy probably would be closer to top 10 if Bateman didn't come. Bateman does take a little bit of Marquise's targets, but Marquise is still a target machine on the Ravens. Him and Mark Andrews are probably equal for Lamar's favorite target. This guy is a deep threat, gets so many deep touchdowns, which really helps his upside, and is a great option for your fantasy team at number 14.
At 15, we got D.J Moore. We'll be honest, he could probably be even lower than this. He's had a real rough stretch of games the past month. Sam Darnold has not looked good. He's not been able to get passing yards. D.J Moore has been greatly affected by this. D.J Moore, the first month of the season, was an absolute beast. He was super good, but the last stretch has been so bad that we have him at 15.
At 16, we have scary Terry McLaurin. This guy is a pretty inconsistent fantasy option. In 4 of the 8 games, he has over 20 fantasy points, and in the other 4, he has less than 10. He does get a lot of targets, but his ranking could move up or down depending on how Fitzpatrick plays when he does come back. This Washington team has not looked very good, but Terry McLaurin is the clear best player on this offense.
At 17, we got Michael Pittman, Pity City. He has been an absolute beast the last month for fantasy football. The Colts are more of a run-first team, but when they do throw, Pittman is the clear number 1 option, and he is shown on the stat sheet. The touchdown upside is also there every week, so we think Pittman's a top 20 receiver going forward.
At number 18, we have Antonio Brown. This guy is dealing with a leg injury right now, and he's still in a boot, which is concerning for fantasy owners. We do not know when this guy's returning, but when Antonio Brown played, he looked a little bit like prime Antonio. This guy averages more than 19 fantasy points per game when he's played. He's probably the number 1 receiver on the Bucs when he plays. This guy's an absolute stud.
At 19, we got Chris Godwin, AB's teammate. He has benefited pretty big time from AB being out the past few weeks, but even when AB does play, he still does get a lot of targets, a lot of fantasy points. This Bucs offense is so good that all receivers are relevant, and Leonard Fournette. This offense is just so good in general. There will be inconsistencies because there are so many good players, but Chris Godwin still is a great option for fantasy football.
At number 20, we have Mike Evans, the third receiver on this Bucs team. Tom Brady is just so good this year that he throws so many touchdowns, so many yards, that all 3 of these receivers are just back-to-back in the rankings because a lot of the weeks you never know who's going to pop off. Mike Evans is more the touchdown machine in this offense, not as much as a target machine, and Mike Evans comes in just barely inside the top 20.
At 21, we got Mike Williams, the Chargers' other star receiver. He started off the year so good. He was looking like a league winner to start the year, but he has fallen off big time recently. A lot of that is due to an injury he has sustained, and he isn't playing fully healthy. So if he can get fully healthy, he is back to an elite option. But as of right now, we don't feel like we can put him in the top 20 for the rest of the season wide receiver rankings.
At number 22, we have Brandin Cooks. This guy is a target machine, but the inconsistency at quarterback does hurt him. This past week, he had 13 targets, but could only haul in 6 catches and only got around 11.5 fantasy points. We don't know if Tyrod's going to be the long-term starter. We don't know if Davis Mills is going to come in. But either way, Brandin Cooks gets so many targets that he is inside the top 24.
At 23, we got Adam Thielen. An amazing player, but very inconsistent for fantasy football. There are some weeks that he looks like a top 10 option. Other weeks, he looks like he's not even startable. For example, this past week, he had 2 catches for 6 yards, but he had a touchdown, so he was somewhat relevant in fantasy. You just never know what you're going to get. He has that super high upside, but also a low floor week to week. But he still is a top 24 wide receiver for the rest of the season.
We reserve the top 24 spot just for Calvin Ridley, depending on when he's going to return. If Calvin Ridley comes back within the next couple weeks, he boosts way up on these rankings, probably to the top 15. But there's a chance Calvin Ridley doesn't play this year, which would obviously make him unrankable. So we're just going to reserve this top 24 spot to Calvin Ridley.
And thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please hit the subscribe, hit the like button. We're going to come out with quarterback and tight end hopefully very soon. See you guys next time.